So I don't know what to call this video other than like Metru Nui mods, because what I'm showcasing in this video is 4 modifications, I guess, to some sets that are from 2004, 2005. Probably should have shown this in yesterday's video with the Rahaga specifically, but there's one more mod I wanted to showcase for that one, and that was found by a member of the Discord server, which you can join. It's down in the description. So let's go ahead and just start showcasing things. I'm going to start with the most simple one here, and of course, if you like this content, make sure you're subscribed. Really helps the channel out. So I'm going to start with Whenua here, giving him his original hunched back. It's a dead simple mod, if I'm being honest. Literally just connecting the head to an axle in the torso here. You have to remove the cover for this, which in the prototype set, they actually didn't even have that chest cover to begin with, so it's kind of a nod to that as well, but I didn't really worry about it too much. That said, I went ahead and reduced the length of the arms here too, so they're on number 3 axles instead of number 4 axles, just so that there's some more variation between each of the Toa, and since Whenua is the shortest of the Rahaga sets, he does reflect that in how high his hips go into the body, but I wanted to reflect it further with that hunched neck. So that's what I did here. I think it's a dead simple mod. I use the axle on the back here as well, just to store that 4 angle connector, because why not, right? But everything else is basically the same, just gray hips to add more color to them. And yeah, that's basically it. Oh, and I should address the obvious, the elephant in the room, the mask. So that is a Lego piece. It is not his original mask, though, obviously. This is from the shoes that Lego made for 2004. They made the Metru shoes with shoe clips and Metru masks. But the masks that they made for those were proprietary. So they did not actually connect to regular Lego pieces. You can do it. I've covered it in another video. Maybe I'll cover it again in the future. I don't know. But the point is that this is a slightly different mold, as you can tell from these grills in the sides of those cheek protrusions there, right? Eye holes are also a bit larger here, which is why I selected this one, because it allows a little more light to get through. And so you can see the eyes a little bit better because he has the trans dark green eyes, which are really hard to see. Part of me is conflicted about the trans dark green eyes, but I understand that it is his original color too, so I didn't want to change it. Let's go ahead and move on to one that I have showcased on the channel before. This is a slightly further mod for the Toa Metru, which is this one here, using the silver, using the secondary color. This feels more appropriate as to what Lego would have done if they followed along with the Toa Nuva sort of idea, right? Or, for example, if this wasn't Nuju, but maybe it was Kopaka Metru, you know? So it has the Nuva kind of color in the form of the armor, obviously. It has a secondary color. Obviously, Kopaka Nuva would probably have light gray rather than light blue, medium blue, whatever. But for the sake of the video, I think this is going to work out just fine. And it is Nuju at the end of the day, so it is a different character. Still, that said, the build here from the legs up is the exact same as you would usually expect, but it just puts one of these Korok cowl shields across the front here. I think that looks really good on this character specifically, and it helps to kind of accentuate that snowflake-like aesthetic that that shield has buried into it. But on the arms, more importantly, I'm using the Levok cowl shield to sort of take the place of the bushing here, and in this case here, I actually have the modification so that the arms are able to move. This is a bootleg piece, which has a socket for a mixel ball joint, so they're not geared. There's no actual gears running on that, so this isn't going to do anything. That said, the gear on the back is a bootleg piece. It is flat silver. It matches the shoulder pads, which are also a bootleg. And yeah, I think that they are quite nice. Other than that, he keeps all of his other features, so the neck is still raised up high, which I think works much better for him than it does for, I think Nokama also has the higher neck. But his mask is a little bit longer to sort of make up for it. So moving on to the third one before we get to the main show, which I'll show off at the very end here, Rahaga. This one is a very simple modification, and I talked yesterday about modifying these guys as well. This one obviously takes it a little bit further because you do kind of have to rebuild it from the ground up, but it is still a very simple modification, just orienting the bottom legs where the sockets are sideways and then using the axle holes that are left over to connect directly to a longer double socket here. A member of my Discord server by the name of like Chef 004 or something along those lines. I do apologize. I looked at it last night. I am dead tired. I don't know what's going on with my brain today, but Suffice to say, he actually came up with this build, and I really enjoy it. You can, of course, change the double socket out to some other color if you want more color here, but if you want to sort of carry over that Roxy look, I think this works out just fine. But yeah, I really like this one, and it's so simple. It also sort of fixes the legs in place, so you're not going to have any issues with the legs falling out, but it can be a little bit difficult to break this guy down because once those axles go in, it's much harder to get them out. You actually have to remove this Hordika neck in order to take the double socket here off. So you could probably do it by like forcing it, and you might break some pieces though that way. So yeah, a much stronger build, but it does mean, you know, taking the thing apart will be a little bit more of a chore. Not bad by any means. It's a Rahaga at the end of the day, right? All right, so lastly here, Hordika. Taking the idea of the Hordika as creature-esque or mutant-esque and just ramping it up to 11, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you Hordika Toa Whenua, and I really like this one. Now, first off, I adore this color scheme. I don't know why. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. I know that in 2006, like some of the Hooky promotional stuff had him with brown instead of gunmetal. I think it was like the game or something like that, or one of the web page games, whatever the case it was. And I liked it there too. I think that the yellow gives a more like magma-like feel, right? So it's rock with like magma beneath. And that's why I think it works on Hooky with the gunmetal here. I didn't think it would work quite as well as it does, but there's just something really satisfying about this color scheme and this combination of colors specifically. Also, one of the reasons I wanted to showcase this is because if you didn't know it, this is printed in Metru brown, not standard brown. I don't know why. It's the only one that's different from its regular color. I think it gives Parakal a bit more of an interesting sort of aesthetic to him, I guess. But yeah, really, really happy with the design of this. That said, there's actually not as much different about this as it might first appear. Obviously, the legs are longer because I'm doing the whole Borak foot thing, which is a very common thing I've seen a lot of people do. So credit to whoever came up with that one first. And I did make it where you could open this too. Maybe you could store an extra Ratuka spinner or something in there. I don't know. And obviously you can use the Hordika armor here instead, but I just liked the aesthetic and wanted to showcase that piece here, right? As for the second arm, it is double jointed, which I feel like makes a little sense for a mutant type character to have a wrist joint, an elbow joint, and then of course a shoulder. And I think it feels proportionally okay. So it works out well enough for me while still being a lot more usable on the final build, right? But also the main reason I made this build, and I've actually done this for regular Hordika as well, is just swapping out the sockets in the upper arms for Borak feet, because the way they can connect around the body, but it orients the sockets sideways, meaning the arms can go much closer to the side of their body than they otherwise can in the final build. If you make one change to your Toa Hordika, I would say change out those Borak feet for, rather, change out the original sockets for the Borak feet. It helps so much. And you have plenty of colors to choose from because the Borak feet come in all of the Metru colors and come in silver. So you have options for every single Toa Hordika if you want. Whew, my goodness, I am speaking too fast. That said, it does mean you'll have to move the Ratuka spinner, though, because it can't fit here any longer. You can see it doesn't go quite far enough forward because of the tops of the Hordika feet. Borak feet. I caught myself. That said, on mine, I actually made it where this can fold back if you want to, so you can kind of fold it away. Granted, yes, these are going to fall off, so I'll try and figure something out for actually securing it in place. I'm not that worried about it right now, but I like the idea of being able to fold it out of the way. Obviously, the arm is sort of the main show with this character, though, so let me go ahead and take that off, because when I take it off, it looks pretty normal, like a Hordika, right? A little taller, sure. But the arm, that is what everything is sort of baked into, right? So it's using the standard Metru torso arm build, nothing fancy going on there, not the most original thing in the world by any means, and it doesn't need to be. I decided to go with this foot here instead. Originally, I was using a Toa Metru torso cover piece, which also looks great, by the way, but the foot just gave me something elongated, right? It felt more shield-like. I could probably go with silver. In hindsight, I probably would go with silver too, to sort of extend the Hordika armor here. And of course, I wanted to throw the Hordika armor on somewhere, right? If I'm not using it on the chest, use it somewhere else. So I think it works perfectly right here. As for the build, though, because this is on an axle and not a friction pin, there's no friction in this arm. So to keep the arm in place, I'm actually using a tire, which pushes up against the spike here, and it sort of click hinges because of the little gaps in the tire rubber itself. So you actually can sort of hinge it into different positions, and it'll hold in place. It works really well, exceptionally well. And yeah, I like it. There's really nothing else to say there. As for the connection of the hand here, that is a bootleg piece there in the Keat orange color. It doesn't come in that color, but just use it, right? But dark gray works just fine. And yeah, that's basically everything I wanted to cover here. Normally on this character, I use these pieces in this Metru brown as well. I don't know where I'm using two of them. I must have them on another build because I cannot find them currently. So yeah, it's just whatever. So I'm using dark gray there instead. But I think it still works out just fine. Obviously, Keat orange is another option for those pieces as well. And for colors for the other characters, I don't know what I would pair them with. I really like the black with like sand green. Looks really good too, and I think it works well with the eye color. Right here, the Keat orange works well enough with the orange eyes, which is what I swapped out for rather than the blue. I'm just going with the colors from their sort of Rahaga forms, I guess. I feel like story-wise that could make sense, right? If they're mutated, maybe that's why their eye color changed after the fact, right? Why the Rahaga have different eye colors from their Toa Metru form, maybe during the mutation. I don't know, right? Because otherwise it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me for them to have different eyes, but I'm not going to complain. It does mean we get some fluorescent colors that are a lot of fun. So that's really everything I wanted to showcase in the video. Very simple video, feeling still a little under the weather. I'm trying to do my best here, but, trying to make it. With all that said, though, if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If you have questions about any of these builds, you can ask them down below in the comments. Let me know which of these four is your favorite. And of course, we can take those conversations further over on the Discord. When I'm feeling a little better, then I will try and pop these into Studio for you guys to build as well. But I think the builds are pretty straightforward here as well, hopefully. So yeah, with that said, that's all down in the description below. You can check out Instagram. You can check out Patreon. I'll see y'all next one. Take care.